The Sharecroppers Son, A Tough Love Story by Willie J. Brown III. John Boy loved his father, but at times he questioned whether or not did his father love him. A son always seeks his father's approval, but to John Boy, nothing he did seemed to bring pleasure to his dad. When he had to clean his bedroom, it was never done right. John Boy would spend hours trying to make his room perfect, but his father would always find something to complain about. When it was John Boy's turn to clean the kitchen, his father would always make him rewash the pots and pans or reorganize the dishes. Everything had to be in its right place. His brothers and his annoying little sister Black Gal would always laugh at him. No matter how many times they told him, John Boy would always make a mistake. When John Boy raked the yard or cut the grass, he would always rush a little and forget an area. His father would wake him up either with a switch or a belt. John Boy would have to do it again the next day. His brothers and sister would laugh at the weird noises that John Boy made as their father administered justice. But once the spanking was over, they would always help John Boy fix the problem. The only 3 times that it seemed as if John Boy and his father were on the same page was when they were fishing, hunting, or working in the family's garden. When they were hunting and fishing, they never said a word. Whether fishing from the shore or in his father's aluminum boat, they had one common goal: to catch as many fish as they could. When they were hunting, they would sit in the hunting blinds for hours and never make a sound. Our family needed meat to go with the vegetables growing in our garden. John Boy always had 2 goals when they went hunting or fishing: to catch the most and to land the largest catch of the day. Although he had good days, his father would always win. When the two of them worked the gardens, John Boy and his father were equals. John Boy loved working the land and wanted to learn everything his father knew about farming. His father truly enjoyed teaching John Boy the ins and outs of farming. You could tell that his father was training his future replacement. John Boy just loved spending quality time with his old man. The two of them got up before the sun rose, and they would return home late at night, completely covered in dirt and mud. John Boy was definitely his father's twin. As John Boy grew older, he began playing sports for his school. John Boy loved football and hoped to go pro someday. Playing football meant more time at school and practices and less time with his father. John Boy always had the best equipment and did a great job both on and off the field. John Boy was disappointed that his dad never made it to any of his games. John Boy held strong resentment toward his dad for never coming. As the other players' mom and dads were screaming their name, John Boy never once saw his dad in the stands. His mom and his siblings would show, but his dad was either working the farm or sleeping. After each game, John Boy wanted to tell his father what happened, but he couldn't. He knew better than to wake his father, and by the time John Boy got up for school, his father had already gone to work. They would talk trash and sports on Sundays following church. His father would listen intently and ask a lot of questions. John Boy never stopped talking. One day, John Boy built up the courage to confront his dad. His siblings warned him not to do it and immediately began planning John Boy's funeral. They began claiming all of his toys, clothes, and writing his obituary. As John Boy walked into the living room to disturb his father, who was resting comfortably in his favorite reclining chair, everyone listened close by the door for gunshots and broken glass, but nothing violent happened. His father instead asked for his truck keys, and he and John Boy went for a short ride. His siblings knew that their father was going to shoot John Boy and bury his body in a shallow grave somewhere in the woods of South Georgia. They were shocked when the two of them returned home, eating ice cream and laughing hysterically. John Boy never questioned his father again about not coming to his games, and the two of them became the best of friends. John Boy never spoke of what was said that night, but he did share his ice cream with his siblings. He and his father looked at each other and talked to each other differently from that moment on. Many years later, as John Boy's father became ill and stricken with cancer, John Boy never left his side and continued to tend to the family's garden. That garden meant the world to the both of them. John Boy also continued to hunt and fish without his father. He kept the freezer filled with fresh food and could not wait to show his father what he had caught or killed. That little parcel of land, the family home, the animals, and the farm equipment meant everything to his father. As long as they owned land, they had a place to stay and food to eat. That land that once belonged to his father was soon to belong to John Boy and his siblings. John Boy finally understood why his dad was so hard on him and why he never attended any of his games. His father was too busy being a good man, working his fingers to the bone to provide for his loving wife and needy children. As John Boy watched his father take his last breath, he knew what he had to do. Keep working his father's garden, keep hunting and fishing, and keep that parcel of land in his father's name. He truly had become a carbon copy of his father, a chip of the old block. He learned how to work for the things that he wanted and loved. John Boy knew that his father loved him very much. In the beginning, he just didn't like how his father chose to love him. His father gave him a loving dose of tough love. The end.